using the Poinsettia Petals Stampin' Up set, and the joy comes from Mary's Moments. This is a fun watercolor technique that I'm excited to share with you. I think, though, I'm going to try to do something slightly different on the card that I show you. I want to start by taking a sip of coffee. Thanks for indulging me with that. And if you feel like staying with me and chatting for a while and watching me craft and interacting with me, I would love to have you join me and say hello to me. Let me know where you're watching from, etc., etc. My name is Kelly, and I am a Stampin' Up demonstrator. I am in the southern Arizona area. So I'm enjoying beautiful warm weather yesterday after our big lunch. No, I mean, because yesterday was Friday, right? So yesterday the day after Thanksgiving, I spent some time lounging by the pool. Not in the pool, it is too cold for that. Gorgeous, gorgeous weather we've been having. So I cut this down to 3 3/4 by 5 so that I could put an extra layer under the paper to just give it some added interest. This is always telling me that it's not working, so I'm just going to proceed. Alrighty, so this is going to be where my flower will be, and it is not clean, so I'm going to clean that first. And I am using the Stamparatus by Stampin' Up, which is a wonderful tool for keeping everything in position for mass producing and also for stamping on difficult surfaces where you might need to stamp more than once. I'm hoping that I won't have to do that because I'm using Versamark, and that'll be kind of tricky. So please say hello to me. Let me know you're watching and joining me today, letting me know where you're joining from. And if you see anything in this video that you find helpful or beautiful or fun, I would love for you to generously give me a thumbs up or leave me a comment. If you have any questions, please let me know. If you're watching this on the replay and can't ask the questions live. So I'm trying to decide if I want to try to do 2 poinsettias on here, but I think I'm going to stick with just the one. I think that will be fine with this one. Alrighty. Hello, Kathy. Thanks for joining me from Michigan. Oops, I had that upside down. Silly girl. All right. So I'm not going to stamp that joy now. I will be stamping it later. So I'm first going to ink this up with Versamark ink, just the poinsettia. And then I'll be on top of the Versamark, I'm going to add real red. And then quickly, oh, that reminds me, a little embossing buddy on here. Emboss with clear embossing ink. So you can, hi Denise, Oklahoma. Wow. All across the country today. Neat. There we go. So that was right on top of the Versamark. That will not do anything damaging to your real red. And like I said, I'm avoiding the joy. I'm going to come back later and do the joy in gold after I do all the watercoloring. So that came out a little bit weaker than I wanted it. So I'm going to go ahead and clean this off. And because I'm using the Stamparatus, I can do this again. And fill in those spots a little bit. It probably would have been fine without me doing this a second time, but that's the beauty of the Stamparatus. You can stamp right in the same spot again. And on watercolor, when you're stamping on watercolor paper, it's a little thicker and it's not quite as smooth. Well, I don't see much difference, but let's quickly dump the clear embossing powder over this. Oops. So are you guys done making your Christmas cards? Do you make Christmas cards? Do you use Stampin' Up? Are you Stampin' Up demonstrators? Tell me about yourself. And have you ever watched me before? I am not seeing comments on Facebook, so I'm going to see if I can get to where I see anybody chatting with me. Perhaps no one is chatting with me. Okay. Put that aside and let's get this heated up. Excuse me. So you only want to heat that just until you see it shine. Just a little bit right there. Mist a little bit right there. And this is quite common for me to miss the tips of this when I am embossing. So watch out for that. Okay. Now for the fun part. So I have used Real Red and Misty Moonlight. Okay. Those are the colors that I have used. And I have just put a little bit of ink on my clear blocks. So now I'm going to be coming in with my paintbrush, which I don't think I have in here. Oh my goodness. All right, so that means I'm gonna have to, I guess, go with the small one. I was getting my coffee and I must have and I was filling my paintbrush up, so I must have just laid it down. So I'm going to start with this area right in here and just laying down water right up against the embossing. So the embossing helps keep the water separate. It doesn't really matter if you start with the inside or the outside, whichever you prefer. But if you start on the outside, you may find that you don't want to do the inside. It's kind of a cool effect. And then we're just going to swipe it out this way. That is super cool that you are a hobby demo. I kind of go swinging back and forth because I also am a teacher, so I don't always have time for everything I want to do with Stampin' Up. So once you can see that I'm laying down some water first. So I'm just squeezing this, giving this a little squeeze and getting some water to come out on the watercolor paper. Can you guys see this okay? So we're just creating this blue wash in the background. Hey, Don. Whidbey? Is that the way you say it? Whidbey Island, Washington. I have never been to Washington. I've always wanted to go. Pretty sure I couldn't ever live there because I really, really like sunshine. But the pictures of it look so beautiful. So what do you guys think so far? You liking this watercolor wash? And how was your Thanksgiving? Did you guys cook? Have guests? I had family here. I did most of the cooking, not all of it. I love the variation in the colors that I'm getting here with this Misty Moonlight. This seems to be a characteristic of blue inks that you get so many beautiful tones and shades when you watercolor with it. Okay, I should probably quit here. So I'm just getting a little water around, adding a few dots. By adding a few droplets of water, you're going to start to get like those little watercolor blossoms that will add some interest to this background. I don't want it to look too rectangle-y, but I think that's what I've done. There, that might have helped a little. I don't know. See what those droplets have done? Oh, it's so pretty. Ugh. Okay, I'm ready to clean off my brush and start doing the red. All right, so I'm gonna add, oh, you know what? I wanted to put the blue in here because to me, this image looks like this is the space between the leaves that you could kind of see your background in. So I want to do that right there in blue. There we go. Now let's get some water down. Oop, I think there's another little spot. Well, there's a little spot of blue right there. Maybe. Misty moonlight. Okay. So adding water to the leaf and then picking up some of this real red. I'm just kind of pouncing my brush into the water so that it'll kind of spread on its own. Oh my goodness, could you hear that? My stomach growling. Seemed loud. So I'm putting down just clear water first, and then just kind of letting the red do its thing by brushing down those veins that are in the stamped image. Oops, forgot the water. This is a little bit tedious, but I think the results are just so worth it. Okay, so I'm going to come back in here with a little bit of red on some of these leaves and start getting some build up of more color and hopefully creating some of those watercolor blossoms. You'll see, like, that's a good watercolor blossom right there. You could dry this with your heat tool. Oh gosh, I keep forgetting. Water first is what I want. I'm going to go ahead and do 2 of these at a time. See how it works. So I'm not like any expert in watercoloring, and if I'm doing something that, you know, kind of freaks you out, I apologize. I don't claim to be a watercolor artist. I just really like working with watercolor. So these, this brush is one of the water painters by Stampin' Up. And all of the supplies that I've used are listed below the video on YouTube. And I haven't added them to the Facebook one yet, but I will do that later, or put a link to my blog post that will have all of the supplies in case you need any of the numbers or would like to order directly from my store. Those links will go directly to my store. Picture is blurry. It wasn't when I first started. Oh, that's a bummer. Has it cleared up, Denise? I wonder if it's just low bandwidth issue. Okay. I love it. So I'm just adding a little bit more color on top of these veins. Just kind of see what it will do, how it will react with the wet paper there. The neighbor's dogs are barking. Can you guys hear that? I love it. Okay, let's see. I don't want to take that out of the light, but there you go. I think I'm going to stop there. Okay, while this is still a little bit moist, I'm going to go ahead and do a little flicking. Actually, I'm going to try something different this time. I'm going to go ahead and try the watercolor flicking. I was going to use the marker, but I think I'll just try it with the watercolor. And I don't care that this is going to get on the blue parts because it will still have a beautiful reaction, but I am hoping that it will get on the flower more. I think it's getting everywhere but the flower, but that's okay. It's pretty. It's pretty. And I should stop before I overdo it, right? Okay. Just need to clean this off before I put the lid on. That looks pretty clean. Alrighty. So now I am going to dry it because I want to go ahead and get the embossing done. So let me set these aside. Oh, I forgot the flower centers, didn't I? With the yellow, although I'm not so sure I'm disappointed with the white. Actually, I'll just grab a marker for that so I don't have to get my... So these are just the Stampin' Up markers, and this is oops, cinnamon cider. I meant to grab Bumblebee, but it's cinnamon cider. So this one will be slightly different than the other one. I'm not sure how I could mistake cinnamon cider for Bumblebee, but I did. All right, so I'm going to dry this a little with my heat tool. So I don't want to get it, I don't really want to do a whole lot of heat on the front because of that embossing. You don't want to over emboss your embossing powder. But I do think that those leaves are a little too dark for my taste, and I'd like to add some droplets, water droplets. So I set everything over here and lost my Lost my paintbrush. Well, how did I do that? This is an oldie. So I'm just coming in here with some dots of plain water, and when that soaks in, it's going to create hopefully some beautiful watercolor blossoms. There we go. So I'm going to set that aside, let that water just kind of soak in and do its thing, reaction. And I will cut the papers to prepare for the background. So this is already cut to 4 inches. And so I just need it cut down to 5 1/4. And then, oops, I'm not done with that. I need a card base. I'm going to be using Basic White Thick. Actually, I think this is Old Whisper White Thick. And this would look lovely with very vanilla as well. So I have put my 8 1/2 inch side up to 4 1/4, which would be halfway. And I scored it. Now I'm turning it around. And on the 11 inch side, I'm putting it up to the 5 1/2 mark. And that's where I will make my trim. And so now I have 2 card bases ready to go. And let me grab my bone folder. There we go. That's going to go in there like that. And let's see how we're doing here. The water is still a little wet, so I'm going to come in with the heat tool again. Speed up this process a little. Oh yeah. Can you see that? See what those little droplets have done? Let me see if I can zoom in on this and show you what that has done. So like right there, see those little like watercolor blossoms where those little droplets were. Just really adds some nice texture and interest to your watercoloring. All right, so now I'm ready to stamp my joy. And this time I want to get this off of here. Let's see where that's going to go. Yep, good. All right, so back in with my embossing buddy. And I want to get my gold ready. This is going to be just Versamark. Oh, I guess I need to zoom back out, don't I? Sorry about that. All right, heat tool one more time. All right, so I would love to know if you guys are wanting to try this technique, and if you have or are going to try something, I would love to see what you do with this technique. You can share your creations with me at Rosie Scrapper Stampers on Facebook. There we go, Joy. So on my sample, I did not add any bling, but I'm thinking I'd like to look through the bling and see if there's something that would look nice. Okay, so let's add some glue to the back of this. Get this put together. So when you're using the liquid glue, you want to get close to the edge, but not too close because it does squish. So you need to leave squishing room. Oh, I did have somebody on Facebook that I don't know why they constantly change where they put the comments on the screen. So Peggy, I don't know if you're still with me, but thanks for joining and thanks for checking in on me. I appreciate it. All right, you guys, if you are liking what you're seeing, time to hit that thumbs up button because that really helps me out. I know a lot of demonstrators watch, and I love having you watch and share my ideas with your customers. It's a wonderful sharing community. And anytime you can mention that you got the idea from me or link to my video, that is greatly appreciated, as are your comments and your thumbs up. If you have not yet subscribed to my channel, I would love for you to subscribe, and you can hit the notifications button so that you are notified when I go live. And there I have 2 Christmas cards done. So this one turned out a little bit darker red, this one a little more pink, and I think I had the flower tilted in a slightly different way. I don't know, guys, I think I'm kind of liking this one that has a little less wash on it. Cool. I think they're both really beautiful. Okay, like I said, bling. I was going to check the bling box and see what we could find to add. This looks like several retired items in there. Thank you, Dawn. I'm thinking maybe gold, or maybe these gold, or maybe those gold. Yeah, let's check these out. I think those are kind of big. I'm thinking maybe those. I think the gold glitter dots would look good, but I think I'm going to go for these genial gems. And there goes somebody in their big truck out of the yard. Pretty, pretty card. Oh. There we go. There. I feel a little more comfortable with that little bit of bling. Alrighty. So there we go. That was just Misty Moonlight and Real Red with some embossing, clear embossing powder, gold embossing powder, genial gems. And let's see, the stamp sets again were Merriest Moments for the Joy and Poinsettia Petals for the Poinsettia. Thanks again, you guys, for joining and for the thumbs up. Till later. Bye-bye. Hello. And for the thumbs up. Till later. Bye-bye.
This cut in and out, and everything. I couldn't watch